Hello everyone, this is Shadi Reis from SIF 2022. With me is Dr. Nadia Sutton. She is assistant professor at University of Michigan. Nadia, always pleasure to see you as SIF.
Thank you.
And chat with you. We're talking about today early career challenges. There are a lot to keep up with, but what is your survival guide? Top 3 or 5 tips to survive the early career challenges?
That's a great question. So I don't know that my answer today would be the same as it was like a few years ago, but one of the things that people challenged me to do when I was first starting out was to set some career goals. And I think that sometimes it's really hard to figure out even like what are your goals and just trying to figure out like what are you trying to achieve, like what is your ideal that you would like to become.
Yeah.
And I think that as time has gone by, I've been able to sort of clarify, some of like what my goals might be. And so I think that helps you to navigate challenges because when you have a goal in mind, you have something to work towards, then those challenges become like not as significant.
Yeah, and priorities will change too.
Yeah, your priorities will change as well. So, sometimes it's very easy to get distracted by this or that small thing that may come up during the day, and even in your mind you may get distracted and spend too much time thinking about something that's really not productive towards your goal. And so I think that having those set goals, whether it's a 5-year goal or a 1-year goal or a 10-year goal, is really helpful to try to make sure that you're navigating challenges in a way that are always leading you towards your goal.
Yeah, we have always that question: where do you see yourself in 5 years? And we usually say we have to come up with something, but now you have to take it seriously. Exactly what you see yourself.
Exactly.
5 years. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you have family, you have research, you have clinical practice, and you have to improve your clinical skills too.
Yeah.
So we have 7-8 hours a day, maybe 6 or 5-6 days a week.
Yeah.
How do you juggle all that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think that definitely sometimes having some, grace for yourself is important. I do work a lot. The thing for me is that, I find joy in my work, so it doesn't feel like work. I really enjoy the types of things that I do. I'm, really feel blessed that I have this opportunity to do a combination of research and clinical work, because I think I'm very passionate about that path. But of course, there are some sacrifices that you make along the way with that kind of a strategy, and you have to sort of be able to accept those things. I mean, I guess I would also say that in a given day, it's not like some days, might be 100% research. One day might be 100% clinical work. One day may be 100%, with my family. And it's not that it's necessarily compartmentalized in a way that sometimes is exactly each day split up into different things. And fortunately, my family is understanding about those kinds of things. They don't know any different, so there's no other option. And they've been very supportive too. So.
And you pointed a very good important point is that at the beginning of our career, we usually say a lot of yeses for things, and maybe as you are advancing a little bit in the toward mid-career, you start to say no to certain things. Do you agree?
Yeah, and I think that's really hard to do, especially because sometimes you have to say no to things that you really enjoy.
Yeah.
I know, for me, on my clinical piece, I'm no longer doing inpatient service. I have a combination of cath lab and clinic, and that was tough because I really enjoy working with the residents. Now, that's not to say that at some point in the future I might not go back to that, but ultimately there are only so many hours in the day, and that was one thing that I kind of had to give up.
Scale back,
in terms of doing
to free you for a bigger cause.
Yeah, exactly. So again, just to kind of keep in mind what are your goals, what are you trying to achieve, and what do you need to do either to give up or to add in to help you get to that.
But if you add in, you're adding more stress, more commitments, and something going to fall apart.
Yeah, that's
so your advice. So your advice is you better say no to free up your space to grow in the things that you're passionate for.
Yeah, and I think being focused is helpful. I know that's something that I struggle with sometimes too, because I'm very enthusiastic about a lot of different things, and sometimes you have to say no to things to exactly free up yourself for things that are going to be productive towards the goal that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, I feel some people are very blessed. They have a laser focused vision. They know exactly what they're doing. They're very small people in the physician world, but majority of us, really, we juggle things. We have a big goal, but day-to-day stuff. I mean, right now you are sitting in the SIF, you get a call about your patient in clinic, or about a grant submission, deadline, new appointment, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think the other thing is to just recognize that we don't exist in a vacuum. So ultimately, you know, we may have a goal and a vision, and that's what we're trying to achieve. But it requires it's not just a single person. You know, we work in teams. Ultimately, like you work in your cath lab team, you work in your clinic, you know, staff team. You have your research team, the administrative staff team. There's just like so many ways where we have to make sure that we're you know, recognizing our teams that are working with us to achieve the vision or goal that we're trying to.
We have one more minute. Just talk about delegation. Do you believe in delegating tasks, and how do you manage that?
Yeah, so this is something that's also been a little bit hard for me to do, because I tend to sometimes feel like, well, I can probably do it quicker myself, so I'll do it myself. Or I want it to be done in a certain way, or, you know, like
it's OCD kicking
so in. Yes, there is that. But I think that you will not be able to, like, if you have like a lofty goal, you have to work in a team. You have to be willing to give up some of the things that you would ordinarily do to others.
And let others try it
and
fail, correct them.
Yeah, that means at home, at work, everywhere. Like, you have to loosen up and be able to, you know, step into a new role, and sort of a supervisory role, as opposed to doing everything yourself. Even if you don't mind doing it and you like doing it, it's just you have to give it up. And it might take a little while to train somebody to do what you're doing, but trust me, there's, you know, very agile people out there that can definitely.
And this is part of you being a mentor.
Yeah, exactly.
This is part of the task you have to do. Well, Nadia, it's always a pleasure talking to you. This is really a very fruitful interview, to be honest with you. It was very, we hit a lot of tips for survival, for early career, and anybody, and even the fellows as well, that you can use these tips for your building your research career or practice. Nadia, thank you again for being with us. Please watch this video and others on SIF YouTube channel. This is Shahid Reyes.